In the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert, a new nation was born. For nearly 2 decades, Mokhtar Ould Daddah shaped his nation's destiny. His nation, Mauritania, gained independence from France in 1960, and he was its first president. Daddah's vision of a united Mauritania sparked both admiration and controversy. A leader who sought unity but faced his ultimately downfall. This is his story. Daddah's path to leadership was unusual for his time. Born on December 25, 1924 in Bouti Limit, Mauritania, into an influential Marabout family of Islamic scholars, Daddah's early years were steeped in religious and cultural traditions. However, his education took him far beyond the deserts of Mauritania. In a twist that would shape his worldview, Daddah pursued higher education in France and becoming the first Mauritanian to earn a university degree. In Paris, he was exposed to Western political thought and African independence movements. This exposure fueled his belief with Islamic socialism and African nationalism. Upon his return, Daddah became a central figure in Mauritania's independence movement, navigating complex negotiations with France. In 1960, Mauritania declared its independence, and Daddah was chosen as the country's first president. Upon assuming the presidency in August 1961, Daddah faced a daunting task: uniting a country divided by ethnic, tribal, and linguistic differences. Mauritania's population included white Moors, black Moors, and black Africans, all with their own traditions. His solution was the creation of a single-party state, the Mauritanian People's Party in 1961, which he envisioned as a vehicle for national unity, since a multi-party system would exacerbate existing divisions and hinder national progress. This decision drew criticism from those who saw it as a means to consolidate power. By 1964, Daddah had formalized the one-party system with a new authoritarian constitution, essentially eliminating political competition. According to Daddah, Mauritania was not ready for Western-style democracy. His government implemented socialist-inspired economic policies to combat poverty and foster development. In one of his most ambitious moves, Daddah nationalized key industries, particularly the lucrative iron ore industry in 1974. This was intended to achieve economic independence from former colonial powers like France and to channel profits into domestic development. However, this policy backfired. Mauritania lacked the necessary expertise and capital to manage these industries effectively. The nationalization of iron ore mining led to operational inefficiencies and strained the economy. The Sahara drought, 1969 to 1974, made the country's economic problems worse, which hit the nomadic people even harder due to famine. In addition, Daddah openly acknowledged in his memoirs that the ongoing issue of slavery in Mauritania, despite official abolition, this was a potential ticking time bomb that could lead to civil war. One of the defining events of Daddah's presidency was the Western Sahara conflict. In 1975, when Spain withdrew from the Western Sahara, Mauritania, along with Morocco, laid claim to the territory. Daddah's decision to annex part of the Western Sahara was a costly miscalculation. Behind the annexation was his vision of a greater Mauritania, a plan that drew on Mauritania's pre-colonial past. However, this sparked a guerrilla war with the Polisario Front, which fought both Mauritania and Morocco. The conflict drained the country's resources, exacerbated ethnic tensions, and led to widespread discontent. Mauritania's small and poorly trained army struggled against the Polisario fighters. By 1976, the Polisario launched an attack on Nouakchott, the Mauritanian capital. The high cost of the war and the high number of casualties caused public support for Daddah to decline, especially among Mauritanians in the south, who refused to fight in what they saw as an intra-Arab conflict. This signaled the beginning of the end of his regime. In July 1978, as the economic burden of the war worsened, Daddah's government was overthrown in a military coup led by Colonel Mokhtar Ould Daddah. Daddah was placed under house arrest and later in 1979 being forced into exile in France. His successors immediately gave up Western Sahara and withdrew Mauritania's claims to the territory in 1979. While in exile, Daddah formed the Alliance for a Democratic Mauritania, AMD, and attempted to organize opposition against the new regime, but his efforts failed. He lived in Tunisia for years, far from the political arena, and only returned to Mauritania in 1992. By then he was a symbol of a bygone era. Mokhtar Ould Daddah passed away in 2003, but his legacy remains divisive. Though he sought to unify the country, Daddah's presidency illustrates the complexity of leadership in post-colonial Africa, which leads to difficult trade-offs and unintended consequences. Stay curious, stay informed, stay tuned to Era Shapers.